hustle is an activity in order to make that happen. It's not the end game. You can hustle like an idiot. You can motivate. You can be motivated, but if you motivate an idiot, you've just got to motivate an idiot.
If you're looking to leave the 9-to-5 and elevate your side hustle, the Hustle the Day podcast is the podcast for you. Your host, Trent Bray, left the 9-to-5 grind behind and is helping others do the same and focus on the future. Hear from others who have done it and how they did it. Jump in as we talk entrepreneurship, mindset, and strategy. Just take it one day at a time and hustle the day.
On this episode of the Hustle the Day podcast, I have Trav Bell on the show, better known as the Bucket List Guy. Trav is an author, a podcaster, a business owner, a coach, and he talks about your personal life, your business life, and how you can mesh those together to live a more fulfilled life. You're going to want to check this one out. Lots of great information. Let's jump into it. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Hustle the Day podcast. My name is Trent. Super honored and excited to have Trav Bell here, better known as the Bucket List Guy. Trav, why don't you jump in here? Tell my audience a little bit about yourself.
Oh, Trent, stoked to be on, mate. Yes, I'm from Australia, hence the accent. So, hopefully everyone can understand me. We speak English here, just a little bit slower and a little bit more relaxed. And look, mate, stoked to be on. Stoked to share whatever I can, add value however I can. I'm here in Melbourne, so I'm actually in a place called Ocean Grove right now. So I'm overlooking the ocean in the southern part of Australia, and it's about where I live is about an hour and a half out of Melbourne in Australia. So yeah, I've been the bucket list guy for 10 years, and I've literally been running around the world, not lately, thanks COVID, but I've been running around the world as the bucket list guy for 10 years, primarily as a speaker, as a coach. Hey, look, author now, also podcast host like yourself, and but primarily as a speaker, which is where I find flow and that my thought leadership, which is bucket list, is been I've been staying in that lane for the last 10 years. So it's been absolutely awesome. I can't believe I still pinch myself that I get to run around the world. My bucket list is a tax deduction. Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
Still to this day, my accountant says, "You're not as dumb as you look, are you, Trav?" No. But it has been, but overall, it's not just about me running around the world doing stupid shit, and it's really a positive psychology message. How to help people experience more meaning, more purpose, more fulfillment, more gratitude in their life, and to live a regret-free life rather than regret-full life, which is the whole message, right? So, my job is to help wake people up before they get given a use-by date, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I totally understand, and you've talked about that many times about that use-by date. People get that diagnosis or whatever the case may be, and that changes everything for them. And you're obviously trying to get that ahead of time so that they don't have to deal with that and prioritize when it's too late.
Yeah, I mean, the movie The Bucket List is a shit movie because it's about two blokes that get given a cancer diagnosis and then they write a bucket list, which is idiotic, right? But unfortunately, people are people, and we need such an emotional slap for us to wake up and then reprioritize. So at the moment, we're so busy. Being busy is like this weird badge of honor that we carry around with us all day. And, by being busy, and we talk about the word hustle, no doubt we'll get into that, but people are so busy on their to-do list that they forget about their bucket list until something dramatic or traumatic happens to them or a loved one, So I've always said a bucket list is a tangible life plan where our business plan, our hustle plan, our day-to-day hustle plan, our business plan or career plan should fit into our life plan and not be the other way around. So this message really brings home the work to live principle. you know. And I'm not talking about work-life balance here either. Balance is bullshit. You know, balance has never worked. It was this shit 80s term that was thrown around just to make us all feel better about themselves. We do these, you know, like life wheels, and, you know, here I am, I'm 5 out of 10 on relationships, but I'm 10 out of 10 on business. The thing never rolls and you always feel depressed. So what about and nothing ever balances? I've never seen one of those things where I'm good in all areas. There's always give and take, right? So what's wrong with just being obsessed about everything, hustle in everything, you know? Yeah. And it's as simple as that. So I want to help people be really engaged in their life plan as they would be engaged in their business plan or career plan. If they're an entrepreneur, certainly their business plan.
Yeah. So you bring up an interesting point, and we'll try and avoid using the word balance, because I agree there is no such thing as balance. But when people are excited about business, so, you know, being an entrepreneur or small business owner or whatever the case may be, you get excited about these goals and things that you write down for the business. How do you find the time to manage both those goals as well as the aspirations you have for your bucket list?
Yeah, I mean, the bucket list has to be brought into context, though. You know, if you're trying to do a startup, you're trying to launch a business. Well, if you're pissing off to Machu Picchu for 3 months, then that's not smart. You know, good luck. Or you want to go sailing around the Maldives or the Greek islands or whatever. Like, you know, for sure, if you're running an online business and you've got great internet, then sweet. You know, that's digital nomad style. That's all well and good. And let's be honest, in the last 12 months, every single business is now an online business. So that's all sweet. But at the end of the day, you know, you got to do what you got to do. But a bucket list isn't. Here's the thing. And you've seen I did a TED Talk a few years ago, and my TED Talk was Life's Too Short by Trav Bell. People can go check it out. And in there, I introduced and unpacked a concept called the My Bucket List Blueprint, right? And funnily enough, that's what the book's about too, that I released just before Christmas. Now, the whole bucket list blueprint, it's My Bucket List, which is an acronym, a 12-letter acronym to help people sort of unearth, unpack, extract and articulate a personally meaningful and holistic bucket list, right? And that 12-letter acronym, it's a 12-step system. Sounds like AA. But the T at the end is travel adventures, which is what a lot of people think of bucket lists. They think of, all right, I go and, you know, cross off my bucket list. It's all about travel. It's not just all about travel. That's one of the 12 components. But, you know, so getting into that, you'll be able to experience, experience your bucket list sooner rather than later, rather than wait for delayed gratification. When I've got the money and the time to do the travel things that I want to do, sure, put those on your bucket list. But there's certainly things that you can do right now. You know, the lower hanging fruit that may not cost a lot of time and money, but then bring you happiness. More importantly, you know, and I think we can get lost in business without that really tangible why. You know, and I think a bucket list is a tangible why, a tangible reason for getting out of bed in the morning and growing your business in the first place. Because at the end of the day, business, as you know, mate, you know, business, you know, should produce two things. If you do it well, if you optimize it well, it should produce two things. It should produce cash flow and also time flow if you do it right. And double bonus, if you actually love what you do and you're of service to the community and other people and you're doing good stuff, then and it's hitting your values, which is your internal rule book, I think that's the holy grail. You love what you do and it's producing what you needed to produce. But it's not about the problem is there's a lot of people think of the time and the money is the thing that they you know, that's the end result. Well, it's not the end result. What are you going to do with the time and the money? So creating a tangible why in the form of a bucket list, running it through this filter allows people to go beyond themselves, to create legacies, to do kind acts for other people, you know, through their bucket list. And it gives a a greater reason for making decisions faster, leveraging more, scaling, bringing on new people, getting off the fence. And, for me, that's always been the reason why I've set up businesses fast and strong, because I've had a reason for doing it.
Yeah.
It's not just time and money. That is what it is. But, if I want to do something really specific on my bucket list that requires a fair bit of time and money, then I'll work harder. I'll hustle more.
Yeah, no, and you definitely have set that up for yourself now, being able to work from pretty well anywhere. You have the cash flow, you have the time flow. And the great thing about this last year is, you mentioned one of your main things that you do is speaking engagements. Well, now a lot of those speaking engagements have moved virtual. So again, allows you that time flow. You don't have travel to factor in and things like that. So
yeah, I'll tell you what, it's been interesting. Hey, like that. If you told me 2 years ago, hey, Trav, coming to America to do another gig, I'll be like, do not. I did. If you ever been to Australia, we're like 12 hours away. We're 12 hours away. It's half a day, and I went, I think 2019, went to America like 6 or 7 times. It was really taxing. And, that's through the airports and it's, onto another airport and da-da-da. But if you told me to get on another plane, and that's just America, let alone the rest of the world, I know it's a complete first world problem. So, but shut your mouth, Trav. But if you told me to get on another plane back then, I was like, no way, no way. But now it's really interesting. I love doing the virtual stuff, but I tell you what, I'm not the only one who's got Zoom fatigue. Yeah, doing a presentation to like 300, 500 people online, it's extremely like energetically, it takes the shit. It really is energy draining because you're holding the space for 500 people, and normally 400 of those people you wouldn't be able to see from the stage. Mm-hmm. And you're just sort of talking to the first couple of rows. But in this, you've got everyone at you and you're doing your thing. And so, mate, I'm happy to go up in any plane right now and just go up and then just do circles and land back down again, just to make me feel whole again. But yeah, I do miss. It's really interesting. Yes, we've got more time. We've got more time with our families, and I've loved that. But I do miss, the real human to human connection, which has been a really interesting, I guess, observation that's come out of, lockdowns and COVID and everything that we've gone through, is the fact that we humans love being human. And that is, we are mammals. We love being around other people. The screen doesn't cut it. It did. Now it's not. And it's really interesting when it's taken away from you. You really want it more and more. I'm a bike rider, so I bike ride in the morning with my mates. And when we couldn't do that, we all missed it. But we're so bravo and I guess full of ego that we're like, yeah, no, I'm cool. I'm just riding by myself. And then when we all kind of got together after our second wave lockdowns here in Australia, and we all came together for the first time, we just loved the fact, and we all said, yeah, I miss this. This is guys all saying, yeah, I miss being around you other guys, and being human again, having the coffee afterwards. You really miss that interaction, and that's part of being human, right?
Right.
So, and now I realise that's why they put you in solitary confinement in jail. You isolate yourself and it's the worst. It's a human torture.
Yeah.
I can't believe I just related what we're doing here to isolation and jail. But anyway, you get the point.
I do understand the point. Yes.
Yeah.
So let's take it back a little bit before you became the bucket list guy. How did you set your life up with intention already from a young age, and then set up businesses so that you could go after those things?
Well, I didn't do it right at the start because yes and no. For the first 20 years of my life, I was in the personal fitness training industry. And with that, I started with one client and it grew it to tens of thousands of clients around Australia. We're the first to franchise personal fitness training studios in Australia. Had over 300 personal trainers working under my brand. Over 2 million personal training sessions over that time period. Helped a heap of people, gave a heap of people jobs and franchise opportunities. But yeah, for me, that was very much a bricks and mortar kind of business. This is before social media for the large majority. I'm a little bit older, mate. And your beard game is on point too. Nice.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, I can't grow up that long. That was pre-internet, and then I had a bit of a breakdown before breakthrough moment, and there were some toxic people in our system in my life, and a couple of other things in my life that had gone on top of me, and it was a bit of a downward spiral, and I slipped into a bout of depression, albeit mild, and I literally found myself in personal development seminars, learning positive psychology, NLP, life coaching, a Carnegie principle, law of attraction, all this sort of stuff. If you put a course on back then, I would have done it and run to the back of the room and upgrade it again. I did that because the alternative for me at that point in time was to go on like heavy antidepressants to deal with my depression. I knew that was more of a Band-Aid fix rather than getting to the root cause. So I had to work. I found myself in personal development, learning a lot about psychology to really help me get to the root cause of what I was going through. So I dealt with some stuff, and it was around that time that the online world started up, and I read Tim Ferriss's 4-Hour Work Week right around that time, who I've had lunch with since, and he was on my bucket list to have to meet Tim Ferriss was on my bucket list, who wrote the 4-Hour Work Week, obviously. And then I had lunch with Tim Ferriss, better yet. And wow. Best thing, he's a really cool dude. I had all these bricks and mortar kind of businesses going on in terms of our gyms. And then I read the 4-Hour Work Week, and he's running shit from a hammock in Thailand. I'm like, fucking that'd be cool. And the whole online world and how to run a business online just really appealed to me. And so how all this came about is with all the stuff that I've been learning, someone actually said, Trav, why don't you teach this stuff? And that helped me compartmentalize what I was going through. I put on a public talk. I had 40 people. I know I had to pay the 40 people to turn up to it. I packaged in all the stuff, all my business stuff, all the stuff I've been learning into a talk. And then about halfway through, I started sharing my list to do before I died. I always had one written down since I was 18. Now I only became the bucket list guy. This was my first seminar about, 10 years ago. And right at the end, and really my stories inspired the group. The fact that I had this, list to do before I die actually written down. And no one knew this about me. And I said, who else has got one of these lists to do before you die actually written down? And it was like, no, donuts. I'm like, wow, I'm the only freak in the room. So it inspired the group. And then Joe, one of our participants, said, how's all this list to do before you die stuff? It's really inspired everyone. It's like a bucket list. You're like the bucket list guy. I went, ping, light bulb moment, went home and registered the bucketlistguy.com. And I've been doing that ever since. And I defranchised the whole company, my personal training business. Got out of that. I was just over it. I did it for 20 years. And, so mate, don't ask me for a program, how to lose weight, tone up or put on muscle. And, I just, I won't. But I've been in that world for a long time. And it was a big change because it was part of my identity. And then to go to something completely new, something online, got rid of the bricks and mortar kind of leases and business and just went online with the bucket list guy. And I've literally been doing that ever since.
Yeah, that's very cool. And, I love that it's something that is evergreen. So it's like you've mentioned before on some other podcasts you've been on, when you cross everything off the list, add more to the list. I mean, there's no reason to ever stop doing it. And that pursuit of personal development, I think, is tremendous for anybody out there, let alone an entrepreneur. I mean, there's a lot of personal development around entrepreneurship, but for anybody, if you can always be in the pursuit of a better version of yourself or more things that you can do, I think you're going to set yourself up for a life of success, no matter how many things you accomplish.
Well, I'm doing 5 things at the moment. Like one of the challenges that I'm doing at the moment, and this may or may not be a bucket list item, but it is for me, and that's all that matters. I'm reading 52 books in a year at the moment. It's a challenge, and that's one that I've set for myself. So it's freaking hard, but I'm doing it. It's what you said about potential there. Like a lot of people, I guess, digging into the thought leadership, into the philosophy of the whole thing. It's not just about ticking a whole bunch of cool stuff. It's really about how a person, how we reverse engineer a lot of, every aspect of our lives in order to make this stuff come to fruition. It's a ripple effect that it has. So, and it's really about the growth of the person on the journey towards these self-imposed destinations. But more importantly, it's really about the person that exists on the other side, and that's the person that we don't know yet, right? And that's called our potential. When we experience more of our own potential, it puts a smile on our face. And so, and at the end of the day, and you might have heard me say this before, but people are dying at 40 and being buried at 80. People are dying at 40 and being buried at 80. There's so many people sleepwalking through their life, just existing, not living by default, not by intentional design. And, and to back that kind of crazy quote up, you look at the depression statistics, the suicides, youth suicides, the overprescription of antidepressants. We've even got this thing now called the loneliness epidemic, and that's a real thing if you Google it. And that's the adverse effect of social media, right? 89% of people in the States are what they call disengaged in their jobs. Disengaged, that means they're just not into what they're doing. They just go home, they just get the paycheck and go home. It's like they're not really, in passion mode. They're not kind of obsessed about it. It's like them some scary stats. So I guess what I've been trying to do, and now we've got a network of certified bucket list coaches. So I've scaled this out now. We've got certified bucket list coaches in 22 countries around the world now too, teaching my stuff. And at the end of the day, our job is just to wake people up, get them engaged in their life. And it's had a really cool effect, a really positive impact. So we're trying to change those, trying to change to the best of our ability, change that narrative, change some of these statistics, give people light at the end of the tunnel. You throw COVID in on top of those stats.
Yeah, that
our mental health is in a bad way, man. And as this is the shit that drives me. This is the things that I'm passionate about at the core of what I do. Sure, it's fun running around the world doing stupid shit, but at the end of the day, and talking about it and getting paid well to talk about it, but at the end of the day, I'm having been through depression myself, and over 10 years, seeing the light go on for a lot of people, giving them real tools to self-manage out of this thing, out of where they're at, that puts a smile on my face.
Yeah, that's great. So, you mentioned people just basically punching in, punching out of work. They're not really engaged. There's a lot of different epidemics going on, like you mentioned. And honestly, I think it comes down to that why and that purpose that people are lacking. And so I think not only for personal reasons, I think would be smart to implement as part of a company culture to have this bucket list so that people can be more efficient in their time at work so they can go and be more fulfilled personally.
That's what we do.
As
That's
well.
what we do. And yeah, like any boss out there or any person in HR or decision maker within a company, you don't know how powerful. When we go and we run this program called the Bucket List Life Plan, and it's where you do group coaching with everyone in these 12 steps, right? And it takes like an hour to do each of those steps each. So it's a 12-hour program. And the breakthroughs that people have are absolutely unbelievable. Unbelievable how they share and how they support each other and how it affects communication and culture, seeing each other in a different light. It is absolutely amazing. I'm stoked to see it roll out around the world. Even in countries, we've got coaches even in countries now, if you actually translate the word bucket list, it makes no fucking sense at all. But they still get it, Pretty funny going into, Vietnam and, people are like, bucket list coach.
Yeah.
Anyway, but people understand the philosophy. It's all about, living a regret-free life rather than a regretful life and waking people up before their time is up.
Yeah, absolutely. I can definitely support that. You mentioned travel is something that a lot of people associate with bucket lists. However, it's only a small part of it. Can you provide some examples of some of those other things that people could be doing that are not those big, giant goals?
Well, yeah, I mean, right now, a lot of people have been, even with travel, it's choosing happiness, right? Choosing happiness for you and your family. And this is an opportunity for people to put their own oxygen mask on first before they can help others. So people, and right now, people have, globally, we're all taking a big, deep breath in and recalibrating on what that is for each and every one of us, right? We're recalibrating on our happiness. We're recalibrating on where we get, fulfillment, meaning, purpose. And I think no other time in history we've been given this opportunity. So hopefully people are doing it. And a lot of people have started side hustles. They've started other businesses. They've actually quit what they have been doing. The definition of work and life has changed forever. People are choosing not to be stuck in traffic, versus working from home. Find me a person that is working, 5 days a week, in an office anymore. It's that going back to the old normal has, if you're waiting for the old normal to come back, it's not coming back real soon. It's a major world reshuffling right now. And I think that's extremely exciting. And hopefully it'll help people have more time for themselves. People are prioritizing life, not just what they do from a business point of view or from a job point of view. They're spending more time with their family. Hopefully they've got a supportive ecosystem around them. But instead of doing all the travel stuff, like as you said, people have been I've encouraged people to be a tourist in their own hometown first. Do the smaller little things that you can do rather than the big 3-month trip to Australia or something like that. Because we live in a delayed gratification society, retirement, 401k kicking in, and then I'll do all my travel when I'm in retirement. That shit has been sold to us for so many years. It's like this sacrifice now to enjoy later. It's bullshit because really look at those statistics that I mentioned earlier. You what? I'm gonna suck it. I'm gonna hate my life for 3/4 of it to maybe get a good 5-10 years to do shit that I wish I did earlier, and I haven't got the health to do now. I have to just get around in an RV, and or get on a cruise ship or do the. Yeah, I should have done this earlier. Well, yeah, now is that time. If you're listening and watching this right now is the time to choose the things that you want to do, and get it moving. I'm into instant gratification as well as delayed gratification. But the fact is, this whole retirement thing has been sold to us so much that we think that, a lot of people have been sold the sacrifice now to enjoy later thing. Nothing makes me more depressed than a guy or a girl, sacrificing their happiness, hating their job for the majority of their life, doing the 40-40-40 plan. That's 40 years of my life, 40 hours a week to then hopefully retire on 40% at my peak.
Mm-hmm.
And to then have just 5 or 10 good years and then they have a fucking heart attack.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like the life.
dude, is that not depressing or what? Just thinking about that. So, we've got a lot more choices. And I'm really talking about my dad here too. He sacrificed a lot of his happiness to provide, and I get that. But we've got a lot more choices now. We've got a lot more flexibility now too. And I think, with your podcast, Trent, and everyone watching and listening out there, maybe there's some things that you need to step into more, adapt to more, whether it be technology. You need to innovate more. I think that's the beautiful part of what we've got our hands on in business these days. We can innovate. There's so many more tools out there. We can radically collaborate like we're doing now to get to where we want to get to a hell of a lot quicker if we choose to. That being said, every single person last 6 months especially has gone online. We all run online businesses now. So rising above the noise is going to be and is already difficult. Anyway, I'm ranting. Go back to your question. Other things that people can do on their bucket list right now is, where can you challenge yourself? What kind acts can you do for other people? Who do you want to meet before your time is up? Start thinking about your legacy. Start thinking about some lessons, some skills that you want to learn before your time is up. What's a way that you can express yourself out in the world? Thanks to COVID and lockdowns, I managed to get my book done. I can't believe I'm saying thanks, COVID. But I'm not on flights to the US all the time. So I actually, plus I couldn't go into another year saying, I must get my book done in, this year. So that's been a good side effect of COVID. There's lots of different things that they can do. Watch my TED Talk, grab a book, and that'll really guide you through. And what I'm encouraging people to do is grab a book and just abuse the shit out of it. Like it's a workbook, and write in it and really unearth. And there's shitloads of ideas in there that and really random ones too that can guide you through to create this holistic, meaningful, personally meaningful list, and also create a reverse bucket list as well as your future bucket list as well in there.
Very cool. I like that you're, looking for the positive, because if you look for the positive, you'll find the positive. And I know you're a big preacher of positive psychology, but you found that positive silver lining. Hey, I got this book done. I was able to accomplish some of these things that I've always been talking about doing, but I never did up until this point.
Look, it's not just for me though, man. Look at like the book, and even before the book, the philosophy has allowed people. Every speaker, every coach, we're coaching our former self, right? And we said it offline before, that people are wanting to break the 9 to 5 and then get into their own hustle, their own business. Well, we're in effect, we're coaching our former self. We're doing this podcast to give information to our former self, and that's so cool. I've helped through this stuff that I'm teaching. I've helped people out of depression. I've helped people get off suicide watch. And I say that with I've helped people. I've helped families come together. Who were estranged. I've helped people literally get off antidepressants and really see the light at the end of the tunnel. Now, I'm not saying that I've got special miracle cures or anything like that. It's just a different fucking way of looking at your life, different perspective, different glasses to try on. And maybe I was right place, right time. And that person really needed to hear that at that point in time. But I've been doing this for 10 years. 10 years. So you can imagine, and I've done it, nearly every continent on earth in different languages, and it's helped a heap of people. So I can say wholeheartedly that it does work. I've been in the lab and I've tested and measured, and it's come out really good, and it's helped a bunch of people. So there's not too many people that hasn't helped, to be honest. It's been really cool.
That is very cool. And it's always great when your life's work is fulfillment, it is fulfilling rather.
Yeah. And look, it might be just icing on the cake for some people, and that's okay too. I'm not saying that everyone's got a shit life and I've got some miracle cure or any bullshit like that. It could be literally just icing on the cake for some people who are already fulfilled, who already have meaning, happiness, and all that sort of thing. Hey, and that's cool. Tweak a few things as a result, but it's like a bolt of fucking lightning for other people.
Mm-hmm.
Just depends on where you're at.
Yeah, absolutely. So one thing you mentioned, we talked before we started recording. One thing that I thought was really interesting that you said is a question I typically ask. What is your personal definition of the word hustle?
I think this is a word that obviously Gary V has really made famous over the last whatever years. I think it's just called work. And working hard. And maybe it's a good anchor for a lot of people to get off their ass and actually work. And everyone's got a different definition. For me, I think, what does the word hustle mean? For me, it's like I'll give you an idea. Right in front of me here, I've got a window, and I'm overlooking the ocean. All right, my house. And in 2021, I every year I actually, have a theme or have a word that, and I like to make my life really freaking simple, because I've made it really complex in the past, but I like to make it really simple. So if I channel, everything that I do in 2021 through this word or this theme, then that becomes my metric of whether I'm on course or off course. And it's also this anchor or this reminder of what I should be doing, And right now my word is omnipresent. Omnipresent. That's presence everywhere. So as a result, I've got to hustle. I've got to work hard and smart too. So I'm looking for tools. I'm looking for different ways to multiply, to 10x. We talked about Grant Cardone before, to 10x everything that I do, and to be everywhere. All right. Because like I said before, the whole world has gone online, and I'm not going to be, just recoil back into my cave and wait and hope and pray. It's just like, I sent an email out this morning to my database, and it wasn't 100% right, but it was probably 80, 90% right, but 100% out there. Mm-hmm. I'm looking for progression, not perfection. Be a progressionist, not a perfectionist, and be omnipresent. Hustle is an activity in order to make that happen. It's not the end game. You can hustle like an idiot. You can motivate. You can be motivated, but if you motivate an idiot, you've just got to motivate an idiot. Makes sense?
Yeah, it absolutely makes sense.
So you can hustle, but I'd put hustle smart, because you can hustle stupid and just be going around in circles. And I've done that, and I'm sure you have too. And then you're wasting a lot of energy, a lot of money, a lot of time on stupid shit. So hustle smart, I think, is a thing that that I've got to remind myself I'm doing anyway, and hustle is also, it's a good word because it invokes activity.
Yeah.
Not hustling on another Google search because you've done enough of that. Actual fucking activity. What does that actually look like?
Mm-hmm.
It's activity.
That makes total sense, and I love that definition. And like you said, I've been the one who's hustled in the wrong way and ran myself in circles before.
Well, look, someone asked me the other day on another podcast is, what's some of the personal development stuff that you picked up over the years that has really made an impact. And I think, look, number one, I'm sure you've got some tats, but the way you've got that beard and the hustle hat, I'm sure you've got some tattoos, mate. So I've got here on my arm, I'm just holding up my right arm. If it is to be, it is up to me. Like if I want to have something, in my life, the whole be, do, have thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like Jim Rohn said that years ago, and probably someone before him, the old personal development gurus, be, do, have. I reckon be, do, have is bullshit. I think it's have, be, do. Let's establish what those accomplishment goals are. What are those goals? What are the things that you want to have in your life? What's the kind of business that you want to have? What's the kind of relationship that you want to have? What are the kind of family that you want to have? What's the kind of business that you want to have? All right. Let's get really clear on what that picture is. Now, let's say business, right? You want your business to do this, this, and this, and this. Cool. All right. Who do you have to be in order for that to actually come to fruition? Who do you have to be as a person, your characteristics, your personality, you as a decision maker, you as a person, as a leader? Oh, shit. And if you map this bit into, say, relationships, all right, and if you're single and you're lonely and you want to get married and have kids someday, all right, give us a really clear outline on who you want in your life as your ideal partner, and list it, write it out and list it. All right. Next step is, who do you have to be in order for that person to show up in your life? Oh, fuck. Oh, I don't like that question, Trav. You mean I've got to change something about myself? Yeah, dickhead, you do. You mean if I want this kind of a business, I've got to change something about my characteristic, my thinking, my scarcity mindset versus abundant mindset, and I've got to make better decisions and back myself more and have more confidence to charge more. Yeah. Self-worth. Yeah. In the middle is it's all well and good saying, all right, I want to have this, and I recognize the person that I've got to be in order to make that happen. But there is that bit in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
And it's called do. That's called hustle.
There you go.
That's the fucking activity that a lot of the books don't actually, that you don't see a lot on social media, mate. We're all comparing on social media. We're all comparing our behind the scenes footage with someone else's highlights reel.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And it's really interesting because we talked about before we talked about Grant Cardone, right? And now he's got the family, he's got the plane, he's got, he's larger than life. And he's had to change a lot about himself in order to make that happen. But I know through really close sources to him, people have talked on stage, done business with him, that he's a crazy worker. Like his output is incredible. Every minute of his day is just bang, bang, bang. Like he's got a crazy work ethic.
Mm-hmm.
And he'll talk about it. That's all good. But it's good to know that shit doesn't just come to us, come to people, and they've actually had to hustle and they've had to work for it. And that activity is really what it's all about. So for me, it's not be, do, have. It's have, V do.
Perfect. Yeah, I love that. So, I love how this conversation's gone, and I know that you've got some great resources that you provide. So I want to make sure people have a way to access those. But before I get to you plugging where people can best find you, I want to ask you one final question, personal or business. What is it that excites you about the future?
Well, right now I think it's the big reset for a lot of people. It's the big reset that had to happen. I think that what excites me about the future, for me personally, seeing my kids grow up, seeing my kids grow up and what they're going to become with what they're already paying attention to. I've got 4 kids, 2 of them, 2 twin boys who are 14, and that really excites me. Seeing where they're going, and stoked to be an observer on their journey.
Absolutely. As a father of 3 kids myself, I understand exactly what you mean by that.
Yeah, I mean, the stuff that I do, it's all well and good. I want to help a lot of people and that sort of thing, but seeing these guys flourish is honestly really exciting.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I'll make sure to include links in the show description, but where can people best find more information about you?
Yeah, man, go to www.thebucketlistguy.com, and they can see everything there. If they go to bucketlistguy.com/book, we can get a signed copy of one of these, which I've been sending out like a crazy person over the last 2 months. Put a little message in there for you. Or on Instagram is probably the best bet, is bucketlistguy.travbell.
Perfect. Well, I appreciate your time, Trav. This has been a great conversation. I love how you bring hustle to the idea of the bucket list and all the things that you're set out to accomplish yourself, but then also help others accomplish as well. So I want to first and foremost say thank you for taking time out of your day, your early morning there in Australia, to talk to me.
Cool, bro. No worries at all. Thanks a lot, Trent.
I know I've gotten value out of this, so I know my audience has gotten value out of this. So I encourage you all to get out there and hustle the day.
Hey everybody, thank you for watching this video all the way through here on YouTube. One thing that would help us out tremendously to share this value with more people is if you subscribe to the channel, like the video, make a comment, share it with others, click that bell notification to say, hey, I want to see more videos like this. That would tremendously help us out, and I would sincerely appreciate if you did that. Thank you again for watching.